Hello, welcome to Reality. I'm Nicole Torpy Mason. This week, Ryan and I are guestless to discuss hometown visits on episode 8 of season 23 of The Bachelor. Ryan has a bunch of shows coming up. He is going to be hosting Voyager on March 12th at Landmark Lanes in Milwaukee. He'll be at Best Night Ever on March 18th at the G-Man Tavern in Chicago. And he's hosting a new show called Deep Space at Hawthorne Coffee in Milwaukee on March 21st. For more information and tickets, go to MilwaukeeComedy.com. And now on to the show.
Hey, welcome to Reality. I'm Ryan Mason, and I'm here with my co-host, Nicole.
Hi.
As always. And today we don't have a guest because it's Wisconsin, so it's super cold, and our guest is sick, which two things that go hand in hand with wintertime. But we did watch The Bachelor from this week, and so we didn't want to waste that time. So we're definitely going to get into what happened on ABC's The Bachelor.
Yeah, so it was episode 8, season 23.
Hometowns.
Yeah, hometowns. Before we get to that, though, I was thinking that we never really discussed what you like in a reality show. Because most of these shows...
She's talking about me, not you, the listener. She's talking about me.
Yeah, you, Ryan, co-host, my husband. Because a lot of these shows you do watch because
I make me watch them.
Or you read your phone while I watch them.
Yep.
But why don't you talk about what you like?
Yeah, so like I do like The Bachelor. I think The Bachelor is like one of the better shows that you watch, and I do like the Real Housewives. Some
Which
of them.
city?
I like New York.
Okay.
New York is I stand for Ramona. I'm a Ramona fan.
He likes a Pinot Grigio.
Yes.
He likes a...
I like a lady who bosses around the help to make them pack her luggage. But those are, I don't follow the shows the way that you do.
Right.
So I just kind of check in, and those are the ones that I don't feel like it's any problem for me to tolerate. As far as reality shows that are on now that I like actively look forward to watching, Alaskan Bush People,
so
way
good.
up there for me. Super fun.
So
We'll definitely make a comedian or another new guest.
I have it on the schedule because it's coming back soon.
Yeah, so that's definitely a show that we're going to touch on, so brace yourself. So if you haven't seen it, I would say check it out, and then follow up
funny.
when we watch the episode.
Yeah.
You will like that show. It's well made, and it's fun to watch, and it's pretty easy to digest. And then we watched MTV's The Challenge for a long time, and had a fantasy league about it, so I really like that show, but I've kind of fallen out of favor with it.
We're going to get back into it.
But yeah,
I'm going to make you get back into it.
When our kids go to college. Yeah.
No, because I think we'll probably do that one too.
Yeah, I'm sure. So, I mean, I just love some of the characters that have been on that show. I love TJ Miller, the host of that show.
Sure.
Is awesome.
TJ Lavin.
TJ Lavin. TJ Miller. Oh, God. Can you imagine? TJ Lavin I love. And I would say, like, I grew up watching Real World.
Okay.
But that would have been when I was in my teens almost, or preteens. And then when I was really little, the reason that I like some of the reality shows that you watch is because when I was really little, I would watch what my mom watched on TV because she was at home with us all the time. And I loved Sally Jesse Raphael and Phil Donahue were like the two shows that she would watch that I just loved. And early Oprah, when Oprah was Oprah.
It was a little more racy.
It was, so my mom would watch Sally Jesse Raphael, but that was like midday, and then Phil Donahue was supposed to be the more like heady version of that type of talk show.
Okay.
And to me, that was like reality.
But he wasn't
TV.
Straight news back then.
No, it was it was like Sally Jesse Raphael with kind of a newsier take on it.
Because I loved those two growing up, and anytime I was sick, it was like the high, or like in summer, it was like the highlight because I would watch that. I watched Montel Williams. I really liked. I didn't watch Phil Donahue, but
I love Phil Donahue. Phil Donahue to me, like, I'm a comedian. I go out and tell jokes, and I would say that like his style of like bringing physicality to conversation and using the world around you, using the microphone the way he did, was just something that I thought was so funny. I thought he was so funny.
Oh.
I don't think there was a lot of like 8-year-olds that were like,
Yeah.
you know who's funny is Phil Donahue. But I was like, that was what I was
tracks
into.
with you, though,
And
I would
like,
say.
Sally Jesse Raphael though was just
Yeah.
like if you're young and you don't know who that is, you Google a picture of her. She like had these big red glasses.
Yeah.
She had
That's kind of a
short,
trademark.
kind of wild hair. And then she would wear tracksuits all the time.
Yeah, it was very
which
kind
seems
of
like a terrible idea for TV.
What? See,
Just all the zhuzhing when you move.
I don't remember because like I did love those shows growing up. And I will say that my favorite episodes were always like my wild teen send them to boot camp or whatever.
It was the best.
They were so good.
Describe what that is.
So, like, it was more of a talk show, kind of like a late night. It wasn't formatted as, like, a reality show in this sense of these ones, but it was, we'd bring out a guest. More like Dr. Phil is now. You bring out a guest, you talk about your problems. Only there was, like, even less of a doctor vibe. It was just, like, look at these weirdos.
Yeah, I don't know what her background is. I think it's just
I
news.
think it was just
news.
like
television news.
Yeah. But then the wild teens ones would always end in, like...
they would
like military folks would come out, and it was almost like a scared straight thing where they would just scream at the kids and then eventually send them to boot camp. And
which was like on the lot that they were shooting Sally.
Sometimes, sometimes they would actually send them away. Like,
they were like, go do these monkey bars.
Yeah. And then I loved Montel Williams because specifically the Sylvia Brown episodes because she was that psychic with the long nails and. Yeah. I loved that growing up. It was very
cool. See, I didn't watch that, but I would say that is where like reality TV like got into my brain.
Sure.
That I liked watching that sort of thing because things would happen on those shows that were very orchestrated.
Yeah.
Especially on Sally Jesse Raphael, they would have people on that were supposed to be salacious or were that my out of control teen. Like. The Catch Me Outside, how about that girl from Dr. Phil?
Yeah.
Like that
that's
was
a
like
that's been around
staple in these shows for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Dr. Phil's just sort of cornered the market. I do like Dr. Phil.
I love Dr. Phil.
He's a great follow.
Like I legitimately love Dr. Phil. I think he's really good at television. Like he's just like a professional.
I don't think he's like necessarily like the best person in the world, but he might be. I don't know. It's too hard to tell at face value. Like what like who they are as people, but because everybody's been burned by like Dr. Drews of the world.
Oh yeah, no, I mean don't love anything or anyone because they're always going to disappoint you. But like,
is that a reality show? Loveline? Would you consider that a reality show?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Oh, I loved that growing up too. Yeah.
And like the Howard Stern show when it was on TV, I would watch when I was a kid because it was supposed to be like so racy, but it was very mundane.
I mean, I didn't watch it because that's just not really for me. But that
Yeah, I don't think it was like necessarily for like.
I don't think it's for like 13-year-old girls.
Yeah, your dad probably watched it. Yeah.
I don't know.
So that was what I watched. Yeah, I only watched the E Network growing up. Now, that's true though. I did watch when I was little. I watched Talk Soup before it was like popular.
Oh yeah, we really liked that.
It was a long time ago.
I didn't have cable until like high school, like 8th grade or high school. So
like Greg Kinnear. Remember when Greg Kinnear?
No,
was
see,
on Talk Soup?
I watched when Hal Sparks.
Lodge.
I think Hal Sparks was the first. No, there was someone before that. John Henson.
John Henson, yeah.
That's when I started watching Talk Soup.
Power
and
forward
I really
for the
liked
box.
Yeah, no. I believe he hosts Wipeout now.
Yeah, another fantastic reality show.
Sure.
And then I would say now, like, we have some guests that talk about cooking shows. Like, I definitely watch my share of cooking shows. Top Chef is appointment viewing for me. I love that show.
Yeah.
I like Guy Fieri's shows, so I watch anything he does.
It's fine.
Because
You're
I
allowed to like
think,
that.
like, as a cultural phenomenon, I'm just like fascinated by why people think he's so compelling. But he is compelling.
Yeah, and for years I wanted to see. So he didn't get his start necessarily, but on the Food Network on
Next Food
Network Star, and I like for the longest time was like search because I started watching that show later in the seasons. And I searched for the season 2, I believe, where he wins, and it's not that compelling. It's just not. Like
it's not.
It's just.
He's just a guy.
He's just
like
a
literally,
guy. Yeah.
no pun intended. Well, that's probably enough.
Yeah, sure.
Me. Enough about me. Let's talk about The Bachelor. That's probably what people down.
So this week's episode was Hometowns, which is essentially we're down to 4 women that Colton is trying to choose between.
And the next stop is the fantasy suites,
Okay,
right?
yeah. Okay. Well,
And we
yeah,
all know
not
what
yet.
happens in those fantasy suites.
Probably.
Fantasies are realized, right?
Yeah. Anyway, so it's like they go to
Sex. He's gonna have sex, right?
He could. I mean,
Do you
typically
think he's gonna have sex? Oh, he's a virgin, right?
he is a virgin. That's like a huge point of this season for some
It's
reason.
one of the things I remembered.
Yeah. Typically, that's when people have sex with the
In fantasy suites?
only, yeah.
In real life?
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
But but that's next week, so you'll have to tune in next week if you want to see if he
Does
loses
the
the
old
V
deed,
card, you know.
releases his fantasy.
But this week we go to
Is that
all
a
four
weird
of
word?
the what?
Like fantasy? Is it a weird word? It's not very like I don't. Do you think the word fantasy, like for the guys to be excited and then use the word fantasy? Because when you hear the word fantasy, what do you think of?
Like sci-fi,
Final Fantasy.
Yeah, like fantasy, like
yeah, like
I don't know, like Jara, whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to say
like
any
fantasy
nerd.
novels.
I'm afraid to say any nerd thing because
you could say a nerd thing.
No, it's just because
The Wizard of Time series. Or whatever.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think of. So the fact that they call them fantasy suites, that sounds like they need to think of a new name.
Well, it's you know what, we're at season 23, so I think it's gonna stick. But
that's what they should call it.
It also has this like weird, and this whole show is like sort of a weird puritanical view of relationships, but like it's this weird like idea that like having sex with the person you're gonna marry is like this ultimate fantasy and not just like some weird drunk thing that they'll probably have. Because like they're filming a lot and they drink a lot when they're filming, and it's just like I mean probably not him, but other seasons.
He doesn't seem to drink a lot.
He doesn't actually for a Bachelor, which usually like.
And maybe that's why he's like so nervous all the time, because he wants
be.
to keep his like ducks in a row. But also like he may want to experience his true fantasy without
Well, sure,
alcohol.
but I
or maybe
do
he just doesn't
look.
drink.
I'm not saying you have to get like sloshed on the show, but like
in fact, it would not. It's usually not good for you.
Yeah, but like some of the best moments of, I would say, of the Bachelor seasons that I've watched, like when Ben Higgins got drunk and accidentally said "I love you" to the one woman, Lauren B or whatever, one of the Laurens, a lot of Laurens. That was like an amazing
he said it
moment.
to all the Laurens at once.
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
just goes, I love Laurens.
But I mean, there are those like moments, like I mean, I think there's been seasons where people get too drunk, or like when
it's
Caitlyn.
Ben Higgins, he's so boring. He's from Indiana.
Don't
he
know.
was probably
First of all,
like, I love Lauren.
First of all, he's from Colorado.
Whatever.
And he's
just like
lovely.
He's a handsome fella,
He's
but
very
I just
handsome.
boy yoy. Yeah, so I think the word fantasy is weird. I think they gotta update that. It's just not very modern.
Nothing about this show is modern. There's and we'll talk about that when we talk about hometowns. Let's transition.
Okay, so the first hometown, they're literally riding a horse-drawn carriage, and the lady's like, "That's my pediatrician."
Yeah.
Like, that's
so
the
this is
worst
so this
ever.
is Kaylin, and it's
And
Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Can you spell Kaylin from memory?
Caelyn. No, I wrote it down.
Yeah.
Caelyn.
That's a tough name. And I will say, I work in a job where I have to hear lots of people's names. When I hear a name that's like Caitlin, or Caitlin's one of those names where, or Katie, that like it can be spelled 700 different ways.
Yeah.
Kaylin, I was like, when I heard her name, I was like, it could be two N's at the end.
Yeah.
That's just, I don't know. Is that something to not like about somebody? I guess
No, because
really.
it's not their fault.
Yeah,
but
it's not their fault.
mean, yeah, I don't know. She's fine. I will say that I thought that her hometown, like her family, seemed like the most fun of all of the hometown
And the
visits,
most
because they
normal.
did the
Backyard barbecue.
they did a backyard barbecue. They went on a horse-drawn carriage ride, and then they ate ice cream, which I want to discuss at length in a second. And then they went and had like a backyard barbecue with their family. And I thought
and
that
her
was like
stepfather, who she made a really, she was like, "Who is not my real dad?" And then we're all like, "Okay, weird thing to bring up." And then she's like, "But he is my real dad." And you're like, "Oh shit, yeah."
You made that seem weird, but I thought it was sweet.
It was sweet.
I thought
but
it was sweet
like,
that
it
she was
almost
just like
over the top.
Well, yeah. I mean, maybe she was like trying to clarify, but then felt bad about the clarification and was like, "But he's my dad," and like
It was sweet. The way that they framed it and the way that he handled it, I thought was great.
yeah.
I just thought at the outset when she was like, to get the moment that they actually got to, they really had to emphasize the fact that he wasn't her biological
Yeah, because
dad.
eventually, because what you're referring to is eventually they do have this conversation where she sits down with him and she's like, basically like, you're my
biological
dad.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
that my biological dad is not around, but you're my dad. And it was
Yeah.
like this very sweet, like him crying.
We can talk about that in a second. But Nicole, tell us your feelings on horse-drawn carriages.
Okay, horses' hooves are not meant to be on asphalt all day.
They're meant to be melted down.
No,
and
so
into
when
Jell-O.
and also a lot of cities don't regulate like how you treat a horse in a horse-drawn carriage. So like a lot of them will be overworked. A lot of them will. It's just like not a nice thing to do, and it's not romantic. That's how I feel about it.
Well, it certainly isn't romantic when you're going by your pediatrician's office during
Also, it was like
daytime
daytime.
hours.
Yeah. It was like daytime.
Oh, like there's it's weird to be like, there's my pediatrician. Oh, and there's some people coming out right now. Like that's
Okay,
weird.
but
so then they go to like, I guess I agree with Nicole that horses should unionize or whatever the fuck she's trying to say. But like the horse-drawn carriage thing to me is like, it smacks of they're 23, right? He's 23.
No, he's older. He's like 26 or something like that.
You shouldn't get in a horse-drawn carriage unless you're under the age of 18 or over the age of like 70, right? Like if you're like an old person, you could do it. I'll allow it.
Well, yeah, I guess old. Yeah, I mean, I don't know
because they
why.
like that's how they used to get around.
Yeah,
Like a throwback, you know.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, don't get in a horse-drawn carriage. If you see adult people getting in a horse-drawn carriage, I mean, maybe they're like, if you're getting married. No, even then, that's not cool. I don't want to be around horses when I'm getting married. I'm about to go to the fantasy suite.
Also, I don't know why I thought about this, but also some people are allergic to horses, which is weird.
Oh my god, do you have a horse allergy?
I don't have a horse allergy, but there was an episode of Real Houses of Beverly Hills or something where they went on horses, and then Kyle Richards was like,
I'm allergic to horses.
I'm allergic to
I have
horses. And
equine
she had
fever.
she had to be whatever. It's fine. It's a different show.
Yeah.
Now, here's where I really I don't like horse-drawn carriages, but here's where I have a real problem with this date. They go on this horse-drawn carriage, which is weird, and they shouldn't do that. And she says, I'm going to take you to the best ice cream place in town. Okay?
And they're in Fredericksburg,
Virginia. And they go to an ice cream place that looks very cute. It's very, like, whatever, small ice cream place.
Sitting outside the Tasty Freeze.
Yeah, like it was a cute looking...
Outside the Tasty Freeze, John Mellencamp style.
Yeah, yes, but Southern. And they come out with their ice creams, and they are just, like, cake cones...
And
like cake,
serve.
like just like not like made of cake, but like those regular and soft serve. And I believe she got vanilla. Now I know you're gonna argue that vanilla ice cream is good, and that's fine.
I like vanilla, yeah.
But soft, no.
Soft serve.
You can't just give me one of those cheap cones, put a soft serve vanilla in there, and tell me that's the best ice cream in town. Because I'll show you a liar.
I think soft serve is one of those things where like, so. It's relatively new technology, right? Like so.
What? No,
within
it's
the
been
last
around.
100 years,
Okay,
right?
Okay, sure.
So like, I think.
Well, how old is ice cream?
I don't know. If somebody was like, ice cream is 1,000 years old, I'd be like, that makes sense. But if somebody was like, ice cream was invented in 1790, I'd be like, okay.
I bet ice cream is one of those things where there's like 8 small towns somewhere that claim to have invented it.
Well, I mean, there's gelato, there's custard, there's ice cream, so that's like a difference of different places where they think it was invented, right? And then there's like Asian cultures have their versions of ice cream.
Literally only someone from Wisconsin would throw custard in there.
Oh, yeah.
Custard.
Very important. Very important. But I think that soft serve is like one of those things where like it was created or only started being a thing during this century. So like maybe it is to people who are like, you can get ice cream and it comes out and it's not rock hard. That was probably a thing. But like it's 2019. You shouldn't be bowled over by soft serve.
Yeah, agreed.
I agree with you on that.
Thank
part.
you.
But I also don't know what Fredericksburg, Maryland is. I'm guessing
no,
there's
it's
not
Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Oh,
There is also a Fredericksburg, Maryland, which...
Frederick, Maryland.
Oh, sure.
So, but like this place, it's like they went past her pediatrician and they went and got soft serve. It's possible that her
it's
town
possible
sucks.
a really small town.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing...
There's small towns, but this
the other
place
thing
has
is,
nothing.
I don't know what time of year they filmed this, because they were in Virginia and they were wearing coats during the day.
You have no idea what the weather's like.
No, I don't. That's what I'm wondering.
I mean, it probably could vary greatly depending on which side of the state you're on. Or your elevation, right? So yeah, so I don't really know. Are they?
Here we go.
Are they in the Cumberland Gap? We don't know. I don't know.
Okay, there's one. We have to power through because this is actually this show's 2 hours long, so there's a lot to it, and there's also nothing to it. But, two more things. One.
So the horse dies because his feet are tired.
Okay. One.
But they put the soft serve on it, and he survives.
Mm-hmm. In the backyard during their barbecue. They had this deep fryer machine.
They have several deep fryers.
So,
which I thought
but
was
if
cool.
you looked at it, it was one big metal
contraption,
and then they had a bunch of different baskets, and that blew me away.
But it would look like brand new, so it looked like it was brought in by production or rented. That's what I think.
Rented maybe. I don't think production brought it in.
Bold move though. If your dad's like, you know what, we throw barbecues all the time, but this one time when there's gonna be cameras on us, we're gonna.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's so bold.
You can't just
That's so bold.
And it wasn't like a fondue type situation. It was
full industrial.
Yeah.
Fryers.
What do you think they made in there? They didn't show us any food.
Well, it's Virginia. I assumed fried chicken or
fish, maybe.
Maybe fish. I don't know. What do people in Virginia eat? Tobacco, I assume.
Lovers.
I don't know. Yeah, I thought the deep fry. It was definitely production that brought it in. That's what I thought.
No way. There's no way you're multiple deep fat frying stuff on a whim on TV.
Horse hooves for sandwiches.
Okay, and then the one thing I want to just get out of the gate, because it's going to come up in all of these things. This asking permission thing is very, very fucking weird.
Okay, so they ask permission from the parents, from the dad.
Not from the parents.
From the father.
From the father.
Because if you're not gonna do it, I will. Right? Is that the sentiment? That's what I was thinking.
Well,
if somebody was like, "Hey, I'm gonna ask for your daughter's hand in marriage," I'd be like, "Okay." Isn't that your job? Why don't you ask her?
Well, it's one thing to be to sit down and be like.
My daughter's 26, and she just needs my approval.
Yeah, well, and it's one thing to be like, if you were in an actual relationship and you were like, I'm planning to propose or blah, blah, blah. Well, they don't know this guy is what I'm saying. Like, if you were part of their family or whatever and you're like, I just want to let you guys know I am gonna ask. Because you would assume that you and that person would have had this conversation about getting married or whatever. But.
Couple of beers, you're saying, how would I handle it?
Well, we're married, so you have done it.
Oh, man. Yeah. Got that approval.
Yeah.
We went out for soft serve.
God.
Yeah.
Went on a horse-drawn carriage.
Yeah. I said, hey, guess what?
But there is an implied weirdness when you're like...
Yeah, it's awkward.
I'm asking for your approval, not just hey, giving you a heads up as a family member.
We dated for a long time and we had a kid.
Yeah.
If your dad would have been like, no, I would have been like, oh gosh, golly, I guess back to the drawing board. You know what I mean? What guy's like, well, you said no, I guess that's that.
Well, that's exactly it. Is it's weird to suggest that it rides on this but also the other thing that's weird about it is in this particular situation, you're asking with the understanding that 3 of these people you're not going to
so
follow
as a dad
through.
I'd be like, no big deal. Yeah probably not gonna be my daughter, right? Am I right, buddy? Have fun in that fantasy suite, all right?
Ugh, okay.
Get it home by 11.
Yeah, so did you
Can
have
we
any
talk about Kaylin's sister's
yes,
makeup?
we do need to talk. Yes, I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
So my theory, so Kaylin's sister comes out and she looks good. I thought she looked good. Her hair.
They looked
nice.
very similar. They looked a lot alike.
Her outfit made her look very, buxom. What word? I don't know what word is
What are you trying to say?
Buxom?
That her boobs look nice?
Yes. How do you say that without being a jerk?
I mean, buxom isn't it? Okay. I would just say she looked nice.
She looks nice.
Okay.
But her eye makeup led me to think that maybe she either had. I thought she had a wonky eye, but you told me that you think it maybe was eyelashes extensions that were getting in her eyeball.
I think there was definitely something weird going on with the makeup, and I think this is a theory that she was wearing false eyelashes,
and they were getting in her eyeball.
and they were like one was a little wonky, like it was falling off or something.
Know. And it was such a big moment for her.
Yeah.
You could tell that she really wanted to be on TV, and they have like a nice moment
Yeah.
of being
oh,
like,
yeah.
"No, what happens? We're still sisters," and it's like.
And she didn't look like, I don't know. I don't want to say, because like if there is something
Sometimes
like legit wonky about her eye, it's like, okay, well, no big deal.
Yeah,
but, like,
I'm not making fun of that.
Yeah.
But her makeup was.
But it was noticeable.
Her makeup was like really heavy on her eyeshadow.
Well,
so
yeah.
I was like, maybe it's that. It's like bleeding into her eye.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the thing. Is the other thing is it's daytime. It's a barbecue.
And we should say, if she just has a wonky eye, not a big deal,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, but it's daytime. It's a barbecue, and she was wearing like pumpkin orange eyeshadow, which was very a bold choice.
It's probably called like Harvest Soft Serve or something like that.
Now, I do want to preface this by saying I have never worn fake eyelashes.
Oh.
I don't wear makeup on, like, I do wear makeup, but not like that kind of, like, I don't, you know.
How much does this cost?
So, like, if you were like, put on these fake eyelashes and makeup, like, that's what I would look worse than that. But, like,
or if you had to do it yourself. But I'm assuming if you're going to be on TV and you really care about... Well, I'm saying you would go to the nicest place in town.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And get your stuff done.
Well, we've just established that they will have a pediatrician and a soft serve place.
Yeah, so maybe they live like in the middle of nowhere or in a town that just doesn't have a lot of stuff.
Or, you know what, or she just was nervous and it was hot and she was sweating and her eyelashes fell off or something. I don't know.
Well, either way, it was noticeable and it was strange.
Yeah. So he
meets her mom and her stepdad, and the mom seemed really cool. I'll actually say she.
I don't really remember her mom. What was her mom?
And that's good though, right?
Yeah, sure.
You don't want like if your mom's first of all, if I was on The Bachelor, and my mom was on TV, it would be like my mom would be like, "This show is about me," like that is what it would be like.
Yeah, but she would also like love every woman.
Oh, every woman that I brought.
Yeah, if you brought, she'd be like,
one.
"That's the one," and you should marry her. And I can't believe she got away. And you'd be like, "I can't marry all of them."
And she'd be like, "Well, I don't know." My mom. We should say my mom is basically Ramona.
No, well.
Imagine me taking girls to Ramona to be reviewed by her, and she's drinking a lot of Pinot Grigio. So then Colton. Asks about marrying Kaylin. John is like, yes, right away says yes.
That's Kaylin's dad.
No hesitation. Hugs him immediately. And like, that's he's like, boom, game set match. Checkmate. He's like, all right, check please.
John had a belly full of fried stuff.
Yeah.
He probably had a couple buds
pops
in there. I assume it's bud in the South, right?
Yeah.
Whatever.
He didn't seem drunk or anything, though.
No.
He seemed like a 12-step.
No. Oh, really?
That was the vibe I got.
Just because he cried?
Yeah.
Men can have feelings.
Real drunks cry in different places. They don't cry to the new guy.
His stepdaughter had just told him that that he is her dad.
Yeah.
And then a guy is like, I would like to marry her.
It was the most normal and like...
It seemed really comfortable.
And they had had an emotional moment, and it was like, this is fine. This is a normal time to have an emotional moment and a great time. She's telling the world that the guy who raised her is holds a special place in her life. That was actually really kind of special. Like I was like, that's cool.
Although there was that scene like when he was asking permission that he had a cocktail in his hand, and he seemed like really uncomfortable.
Who?
Colton. Do I say it weird?
I don't know. Colton. I don't know. I think he's one of those guys who's in really good shape, and if he drinks a little bit, it probably changes what he looks like, and he's trying to look really good. That's my guess.
What does that mean?
So you like feel bloated or look bloated.
Oh, like he's just like someone who eats healthy. So when he had that fried food and that
and he
that
was
cocktail,
like,
and he was like,
Nicole, if you were gonna be on TV and then people were like, here's a bunch of fried fish, like you'd be like, I want to eat that, but I don't want to eat that.
Yeah, no, I learned from the Housewives, you never eat on camera. Like, that's just, you order
a salad.
You order a
salmon-based
salad, and then you wait till they're done filming, and then you eat.
Like that episode of New Jersey that we with that we watched, and there was that family where it was like two women ordering arugula salads and then not eating them.
Oh yeah, Melissa Gorga.
Yeah,
and her mom,
Melissa Gorga, the shit.
Yeah, that's the way you do it. That's
God,
it.
she would be great on The Bachelor if she was if a piano fell on Joe Gorga, and that's how I assume he's gonna go
please
out.
don't even put that out in the world.
No,
you know.
kidding. I love Joe Gorga. I love him.
Okay, so do you want to move on to the next one, or do you have anything more to say about Kaylin?
I don't have anything else to say about
Okay.
Kaylin.
Yeah, can we take a quick break though?
Yeah.
Awesome.
We'll be right back. And we're back.
Okay.
We filled up our wine glasses, respectively, Ramona style, and we just talked about
Bachelor style. You gotta have your
yeah,
wine.
you have to have a really large white wine on The Bachelor, like a really yellow white wine.
And they
only drink Chardonnay.
But also, they're always drinking white wine out of red wine glasses.
Yeah, that's
always.
like pretty. I think like just.
Does it just look nicer on TV? Is that what it is?
Those are the only glasses they own. That's my
But
guess.
it's not. It wasn't just like the one situation. Like that's pretty regular on this show.
It's a good point. So Hannah G is the next hometown that we will talk about. That's the second hometown that Colton goes to, and it's more distinctly southern than the Virginia homes.
Yeah,
I don't know where she's from.
I was gonna say I didn't
Alabama.
write her down. Alabama.
I think it's Alabama.
Okay, I didn't write it down, but yeah, it was very southern.
Yeah, so like it seemed like they had these wine glasses that they've never used, and they were gigantic, and they were drinking white wine out of it. But it just seemed like they're more of a soda pop and whatever, like that's what they drank.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go back to the actual date prior to the family, but like first of all, I loved her family. I thought like specifically like her mom seemed
great.
So fun. Yeah. Like she was okay. I just want to describe her because
wait, they went on their date first.
Yeah, I said we'll go back to the date,
okay.
But her mom was like big hair. Like she was very Mrs. Roper, like big hair, big glasses. Like she just seemed really like fun and like
great reference, Nicole, to something that happened to a show that was on 35 years ago.
I strive to be Mrs. Roper. That's like that's my goal in life.
Yeah, I just wrote down hair because she just had really big hair. She looked like like not racist Paula Deen or like.
I mean, we don't know.
We don't know that. She just had that like charm to her that was really
but
welcoming.
I would say like less polished. Like she was a little more like her glasses were out of date, her hairstyle was out of date. But, like in like a sweet way, like in like a this is my mom and like she's a mom, like. Yeah. And I say that being a
she
mom,
was like
I
an
don't
A.D.
like when people
Bryant
say
character.
That. Yeah.
Like she was like, and who's this tall handsome man who's here for Hannah G? And she had that accent where like in the South where it kind of seems like she's pronouncing things differently, where she would say like Colton, and you're like, I don't necessarily like you're saying, am I saying that right? Like I think it's because she said Colton's name like kind of funny, where she's like Colton.
Wait, the mom or Hannah G?
Yeah, the mom.
Okay, yeah.
Hannah G doesn't really. She's very diminutive in stature and in personality, in my opinion.
Yeah, she's gonna win.
It seems like she doesn't like enunciate very much to me. I just like I never hear her when she talks. She looks like she maybe has like small mouth.
I want to say that if you listen to our first episode about The Bachelor, I gave her my first impression rose as who I think is going to win, and I still stand by that. But I think because
we're not chasing the internet rumors.
Oh yeah, sorry. There was some spoiler. I think Colton accidentally.
Maybe said something or
no, I think he accidentally posted a picture that had the winner in it in like the background or something.
Yeah, but I tried to stay away from
I didn't look
spoilers.
it up. I specifically avoided, and I honestly do not know who it is. So there is no spoiler here. This is fully me guessing.
Yeah.
And I'm hedging that bet, assuming that I am right and this woman does win.
So yeah, I don't know. I think I said after. Well, we'll see who I think is going to win after the episode.
Okay, sorry.
I'll have to think about it.
So let's go back though, because we do want to definitely talk about their date. So,
Hannah
G, who is a content creator. I don't know what that means.
I just wrote that it meant that she's hot. she could say that her job is content creator. I mean, I think it means
that's not
she's
fair.
an
She might be
Instagram
in
model.
no. I'm guessing she's like in marketing or something.
That is being in marketing.
Well, I know. I mean, but not for like herself. I think she works. I'm assuming she works for. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, it's called selling body oils and whatever.
Look, we've talked about this on the last episode. I'd be happy to a picture of my leggings and make money for that. That would be great. But
well,
I don't think that's what she's doing. She will be doing that in
Yeah.
in a couple weeks. She'll be selling tummy tea and it'll be great. But
for sure,
right now
for
she's
sure.
not.
She's gonna have so many brands that want to like have her like selling their junk on Instagram. It's gonna be insane. Because I don't think that do you think she could be the Bachelorette? We'll talk about that at the end too. But just on its face, do you think she could be the Bachelorette?
I think she's kind of boring.
I think so too. Like she's stunningly attractive, and she looks like
But
Midwestern
everybody's
girl.
attractive on this show.
Yeah, everybody's pretty good looking.
I don't think being attractive doesn't give you an edge necessarily because everybody's super attractive.
I just
on
don't
the show.
see it from her. To me, it's like I don't know that she'd be
Well,
able to carry it.
unless there's like some weird, horrible heartbreak moment, because we have not gotten to the wall jump, and that so
we'll get to that.
I don't know if there's going to be a horrible heartbreak moment, but that can change things. But generally, no, I think she's boring.
Now, did Colton do something to you, dear? I feel like that's what her mom would say. She'd be like, sit down, let me pour you a root beer or whatever they drink in Alabama.
I think it's sarsaparilla.
No, that's like the
I don't know.
West. That's like the Black Hills.
Okay,
that's a Western type of drink.
Okay, all right.
How dare you?
Anyway, so their date was the worst date that I could ever think of. Like, I can't imagine ever thinking this was and I get it. She didn't actually come up with this date. Like, it's
this
production,
is producers.
but
and again, that points to her not being very compelling, right?
and also like not pushing back from like what I've heard they do bring up. Like, here's what you're gonna do, but you kind of have a little input. Like, you can be like, this isn't gonna work or whatever. Like, you have a little input on these type of dates, not like the ones you want.
I would say all of the dates were probably suggested by production.
Yeah.
Because nobody would be like, let's do a carriage ride by your pediatrician. That's like nobody.
She didn't have to point out her pediatrician. Like, that's the thing about it. Like, she could have just.
You would though.
No,
right?
because she could have just happily sat and been
Shout out to Dr. Gage. Hope you're listening.
You remember your pediatrician?
Yeah, my dad went to the same doctor for like ever and ever.
Oh, it was like a family doctor.
Yeah, it was like a family doctor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Great guy.
cool insight. But she brought him to an etiquette class. Is like what they did.
Yeah. An etiquette class, if you don't know what it is. I mean, that's where they teach
Everybody knows what
Does everybody know what that is?
Yeah.
Is that like a thing?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just simple. I was like, looking at that, I was like, this is like school. Why would you want to go to this? You know what I mean?
Well, also, it's just like a mean old Southern lady
telling you what you do wrong.
telling what you do wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
telling you what's wrong.
does that make you want to like have sex with a woman? Well,
Absolutely.
he hasn't had sex with a
I
woman.
was like, well, it makes me want to have sex with a woman who tells me what's wrong with me. I mean, that's a special kind of problem.
Great point.
Did she talk down to me? All right.
He did get a couple bless your hearts, which is like, that's fun.
A bad little boy? Okay. What a weird...
We're moving along.
Yeah.
We don't need to discuss it. But
what if that was like, you know what? I actually going to propose to her, the etiquette lady. The weirdest part was the beginning to me when she's talking about the bread and she's like, do you know how to eat a roll?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, you just like fucking eat it, you dumb bitch.
Yeah.
And then she's like, no, actually, what you do is you take a little piece of roll off and you rip it off and then you put a little bit of butter on it. Then you put your knife down and then you pop that little piece of roll in your mouth and then you wipe your mouth and you say 20 Hail Marys. I was like, that's so stupid. And then he said as much. He's like, when I want to eat bread, I fucking eat bread.
He doesn't eat bread, but that's fine.
Yeah, but he was like, that's stupid. I know how to eat a roll. I was like,
yeah, I
good
mean,
for you,
I knew that technically is like how you're supposed to butter your bread and everything, but like.
So, but he stood up to the patriarchy right there, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I wrote down umbrella and then in all caps, this is sexist, and I don't remember why. Do you remember something about an umbrella?
So the etiquette lady, let's call her Martha. And she's like, so Martha's like, she pulls out an umbrella and she's like, now Colton, do you know what this is?
This is a really good accent you have going.
And he's like, that's an umbrella. And she's like, and what do you use an umbrella for? And he's like, and the weird part was, because like usually I would say rain, and he goes, to stop stuff from falling on you. I was like, how strong are your umbrellas, and where do you live, and what is falling on you? Which I thought it was perfect. I was like, that's such a weird answer.
Oh, man.
That's like overthinking it by so much. He's like, to stop thinking. Because I think he was just trying to be like, I need to add more words in here because think about how she eats rolls. So,
well, it's like when someone asks you like a Laffy Taffy joke, and
Yeah,
you're just
you
like, I know
overthink it.
it's just not the regular thing, and it's just like, it might just be the regular thing.
So then the lady's like, now, Hannah does not have an umbrella, and now you will be her umbrella. And which was, to me, like, she was trying to say, like, you will be the one to protect her, or you will serve her a great purpose in life. But it just came across as, like, you are a raincoat, and she's going to wear you around. Or, like, it was weird. And he was like, I'm going to stop things from falling on her.
Well, I do.
Which maybe if you're married, that's a good
yeah,
thing.
I do fully support not letting things fall on your wife. I mean,
I haven't thought about it up until this moment. This very moment. I've never looked above your head.
I mean, if like owls, anything of that nature. No, but yeah, that whole
Pianos we mentioned.
well,
Absolutely.
yeah, you can't. I mean, if we're walking down the street, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It was boring. I think he asked permission to marry her as well. I don't know.
From her dad, and her dad said no, right?
No.
Hold on, let me look. I wrote these down.
No, Cassie's. We'll get to it.
Hilarious
Cassie's dad
mom.
said no.
Hair. Hannah's dad. He asked permission and he gets it. And then I wrote, how old is her mom? Because she had this like sort of agelessness to her where I was like she could be like late 30s or like late 50s.
It's what it is. It's literally because
it's the styling. It's
her
hair.
styling. Her hair and glasses were very out of date, and that made her look old.
It would have been so funny. It would have been so funny if like they would have pulled out an umbrella, like her mom would have been like, now Colton, before you ask me a question, I have a question for you.
Yeah, it's just like a Fredericksburg.
He's like, it's an umbrella.
Oh wait, no, we're not in Fredericksburg anymore. Where are we? We're in Alabama or something.
I would have loved if the umbrella gag would have like repeated itself within the show, just for comedy.
I mean, I don't know, but it didn't. Whatever. I mean, it was kind of boring.
The etiquette lady was just infuriating to me. It was a bad date. Hannah said like 0 things on the date.
Yeah.
If you watch the date, it's like she says nothing.
Could you tell me one thing about Hannah?
Blonde.
Like about her like interests
Flat butt.
or life. Yeah. Well, although those jeans she was wearing were really cute.
Yeah, she looks. Her clothes are cool.
Yeah, and I don't usually like a high-waisted jean because I don't know
anything about her. I mean, I've only watched
two.
2 episodes. You maybe watched one episode when we had another guest on, and then we watched this one. And I don't think that I gathered any. The first one, there was too many people for her to stand out. Although you said she would be the winner. Yeah. So I remembered that. And then on this particular episode, she spent some time with her other family members, her cousins. Who
seemed quite a bit older than her.
Yes, and then they also like have this moment where they all really take the moment to tell her how important marriage is, and like. But it just seemed like everybody was yelling at her in those moments.
I think that's kind of a trope of the show. Also, I will say there always seems to be a family that's like a little too on board for me, where I'm just like, you guys are like way too cool with this, and like, her family was it for this show, like where they were just like, yeah, we'd love him, marry him, who cares? Yeah, we'd love that.
He's your umbrella.
Which is like, If I had a sibling who came home and was like, I'm going to marry this person, I had never met them, I would like try to respect their choice and whatever. But like, I'd be like, hey, you just met. Like, I would be like, I don't know this person. Like, I'm happy to get to know them and meet them, but what.
I guess I don't know. I'd be more like them.
You'd be like arms open, 100%.
I think so. I mean, I have a brother, and if I like got the general vibe, I feel like you can tell within 5 minutes of meeting somebody whether they're a good person or not. It's just how I feel about everything because I grew up listening to Phil Donahue.
But good person doesn't mean that they're a good match. There are a lot of good people who just like can't live together, kind of thing.
I don't know. That's a bigger conversation. I think that like these people have to judge Colton based on the way that their daughter feels about them, what the daughter tells them.
Yeah.
And they're all just weirded out by the situation.
Yeah.
So most of them are like, I object to the situation, and
Yeah.
I
That's
don't
what I'm
object
saying.
to you.
Like you can say like I trust your judgment.
Right.
But like her family was just like, yeah, get married to him.
So that's a good transition to the next date because Tayshia is the next date. They did a really good job with casting in terms of like good looking people, but this show always has like everybody's like fantastic looking.
Yeah.
Tayshia's no exception to that. She's fantastic looking. Her thing is, I know one thing about Tayshia. I know that she's divorced.
Yeah, that was like her big, because like there's always like these big moments where they like have to tell their story or whatever. And
but they're in their mid-20s, right?
I don't know how old I don't know. I wrote Hannah was 23 because it shocked me that like someone who's 23 is like willing to get married. Like
it's just like whatever, to me the divorce thing's not a big deal.
I don't think so, especially whenever I hear like a young person is divorced, like youngish, I always just assume they like married their like high school or college sweetheart, and because that's like quote unquote what you're supposed to do, and then they were just like, oh man, I shouldn't have done, you know, like it's just like I get it, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree.
I'm just laughing because we dated in college, but we waited.
Huge mistake.
Again, everything's fine. But so Tayshia is from Orange County, which like thank God we got to like some beautiful outdoor warm weather looking stuff.
Is she from Orange County?
Yeah.
The other one's from like
Malibu or something. Oh, Huntington Beach. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But she took him skydiving, which like
production planned.
Of course, yeah. Again, of course, but getting there, she did the weird like blindfolded him.
Yeah, that was fun.
Drive.
That was the most
you liked
real.
That?
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, and we should say I don't like being scared.
First of all, you would vomit all over if you had to be blindfolded in a car.
No, I wouldn't. I'd fall asleep.
You don't think that would make you motion sick?
No, I think it would make me less motion sick. I'd probably fall asleep.
Huh. Okay. Well, she blindfolded him, and then they went skydiving. And I will say, like, he looked legit terrified.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I love that he, like, was, like, cool to go. Like,
I think it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Right? If you've never done it, I'm sure it's terrifying.
Oh,
I've never done it.
No, I've never done it either, but, like, you see, like, the people on the challenge who are, like, adrenaline junkies and they're idiots, and they're just like, yeah, baby, when they get to jump on the plane, like, they're so excited.
But there are some where they don't jump on the challenge.
There's been, like, one or two.
There's been a couple.
Yeah, but generally they're, like, here for
then
it.
Then TJ Lavin calls them quitters and sends them home.
Would you skydive?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Totally.
Oh, God, I could never.
I like heights don't bother me.
I went bungee jumping once. It was horrible. I hated it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't think I would bungee jump.
Anyway, so that was what they did, and then like I would say like the vast majority of her date outside of the skydiving was like with her family.
Yeah. So her dad looks like Perd Hapley from Parks and Rec, the reporter from Parks and Rec, and then she had a little brother who was like really young.
Yeah, he was so cute. I thought he was so
funny.
Cute. I mean, he wasn't that young. I would guess he was like 13 or 14.
A brother who looks to be about roughly the same age as her. Yeah. And then the brother mentions that he works for the FBI, and then
oh, that's right. Yeah. I love that.
Which was interesting. They did a little joke about like, so I'll track you down and murder you, right? Which is like great. The big part of the show is that like puritanical side of it, where it's like the men are overly aggressive in terms of shepherding the women in some way. It's like, you know, a brother doesn't necessarily need to threaten a sibling's potential mate or whatever. Yeah. It's just like she doesn't need the help. You know, she's been divorced. That doesn't mean she can't make good decisions. Like, she seems like she has a good head on her shoulder. But ultimately, her dad, the interesting part of this date is that the dad does not give the blessing.
No, he does.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he did.
No way.
The only one who didn't was Cassie's dad.
No, he said...
He said, I don't know you. Which I loved. I love that he was just like, well, I don't know you. And then his other bit of advice, which I loved, was you cannot microwave a relationship, which I love that.
Yeah.
That was a good line.
But I thought he said, I can't do it right now.
No, in the end, he said... Cassie's dad said that. In the end, he said essentially like I don't know you, but I'm gonna trust my daughter's instinct. Right? Am I wrong? Am I misremembering?
I wrote down that no blessing. I wrote down no blessing.
I wrote down you can't microwave a relationship, and then I wrote a heart, which led me to believe that he did.
Wow, you just like You wrote these cryptic notes. So, well, I think that...
I think he did give him a...
Either way, it wasn't... Let's just say, you could look it up, but
I don't know, who
I don't
cares?
think it's very... It wasn't, like, a sure thing. We can say
It wasn't as straight up no as Cassie's dad, which I, like, for sure, because Cassie's dad, like, straight up was like, no.
Should we just pause and watch it and see exactly if it was a yes or no?
Sure.
Okay, we're going to pause and we're going to watch it and we'll tell you it was a yes or a no. Okay, we're back, and most importantly, I was right. No blessing.
Yeah, wow. I remembered it as, like, when so essentially he says, like, can I have your, I don't know when I'm going to see you again, can I have your blessing?
Yep.
And the dad says, I don't know you. So at this, but he doesn't really say no either, which is like, why?
He's like, good talk.
He was like, I don't know you. I want the best for my daughter.
Yeah.
Good talk. And my brain obviously turned that into, like, I'm going to trust my daughter, which is like not what he said in any way.
No, I think you had like a really rosy outlook of it. But
yeah,
like,
he definitely.
After that conversation, Colton, in their cutaway diary session, whatever you want to call it, says it sucks not to get his blessing.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do because I'm going to have to get his blessing. He thinks that, I don't know what world he lives in, but he's like, well, you can't marry someone without a blessing. How are you going to be their umbrella? You know, like, that's the weird world that this show operates in.
And it also suggests that, like, this isn't, like, Married at First Sight. Like,
right.
They get engaged maybe, but, like, he would have time to, like, there's no, like, deadline on when they have to get married, unless you want to keep that gosh darn Neil Lane.
They could get engaged. You're saying he could get engaged, and then he could really put in the time to get to know the family.
Yeah, you can say. I mean,
yeah, for sure. So let's move on to the final family.
Yeah,
this is Cassie. Cassie is another blonde.
Barely been on the show, as far as you know.
She's from Huntington Beach, California, which I've been to. It's a amazing.
It looked
place.
beautiful.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's gorgeous.
I mean, mostly they were on the beach the whole time because their date was surfing.
I haven't been there since I was a kid, and I just remember being young and being in that area and being like, I want to live this lifestyle. I need a Quicksilver wallet. I need to wear a Billabong shirt or whatever.
Is that what it is?
No. I mean, but I was there in like the late 90s.
Oh,
probably.
so then when you came home, you were like, "What's beach attire?" And you were like, "Billabong."
Yeah. So I got home and I was like, "Have you guys heard of Sublime?"
Sure. Yeah.
I did not like them. My brother liked them.
Okay. All right.
Just want to clear that up.
Okay.
Clear that
all right.
But
You're
Cassie,
very cool.
we don't know whether she likes Sublime, but.
Ryan, she's so young. She probably doesn't even know who Sublime is.
That's good for her.
Yeah, she's living the dream.
We should say, like, her family seems like a nice enough family. They live in California. So they all are good looking. Like, you know, her family.
I mean, there
sisters.
are ugly people in California. I'm assuming
there are not. There are not.
You know what? I had a really hard time.
Maybe NorCal.
I had a really hard time paying attention to this portion of the show.
It's late in the show. It took a long time to get to.
Well, and also it just felt like, spoiler alert, like, he doesn't get rid of her, and it really felt like it was just like, this is a throwaway one because he's going to get rid of her. Like,
right.
I dare say I think he wants to bone zone her, but, like, I don't.
The date was super
have,
boring.
like,
she takes him surfing.
Yeah, I mean, that was cute.
I mean,
she looked great.
But they're, like,
unbelievable.
They were, he was getting a little handsy with her too on the date. Just on the beach, there's lots of like canoodling.
But nobody was on the beach. Do you think they cleared the beach, or were they?
Oh yeah, for sure.
They could just clear an entire beach.
It's a huge beach. Huntington Beach is very long. It's like miles and miles and miles.
Okay, but still, well, yeah, it's California. It's an entire.
Yeah, it's like an entire coastline. So I think they probably cleared a section of the beach for them. Yes.
As far as the eye could see.
Well, they're camera people. They know how to do that. I think they.
You don't know that.
I think that's what happened.
Anyway, well, Jersey Shore never cleared the beach. I can tell you that.
Yeah, they're cheapskates, and those people are rascals.
Rascals.
All of them. They couldn't have a clear section of beach.
I do want to point out though that like surfing is one of those things, and like let's be clear, I do not swim well, nor do I want to swim.
Doesn't move well in general.
Yeah, nor do I want to be out in, like, again, I think we've discussed this prior, like, I will be outside if I have a deck, but that's about it. But surfing is always one of those things where I like look at it and I'm like, how hard could it be? And then you watch people do it and you're like, that looks really hard.
Yeah, he's just like trying to stand up on a surfboard and constantly falling.
I mean, dogs can do it. How hard could it be?
Yeah, well, I mean, dogs are amazing.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But he's in good shape too. I would assume he's like, you know, I thought he was athletic and could do sorts of. He jumps over a wall.
He's
right?
a football player.
Yeah,
a former football player.
So no blessing this time. We meet her family. Her dad is
another no blessing.
Her dad is like immediately like. This
and you know what?
happening.
He's right.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't. She's just like, yeah, it was fine.
She's very wishy-washy when she has a conversation with her dad to be like, well, would you say yes if he asked you? Which is a pretty reasonable question to ask at this point.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I don't know. And then at another time, her sister's talking to her, and her sister's like, you know, can you see yourself being with him for a long period of time? She's like, well, we'll see. I need an umbrella, you know.
Okay, let's just... She wasn't there for the umbrella. But what if he told her about it? He was like, what if I could be your umbrella?
He just steals the etiquette lady's line.
Yeah.
He's like, what I'd like to do, you know, with these three women is like, tear off a piece and kind of butter it. That's the like, fantasy suite.
He just goes, he sits down to her dad, like, do you know what an umbrella is? And their dad's like, so things don't fall on you.
He's like feverishly eating a roll. Yeah, I can see that. Gosh, I wish this show was funnier. He's not funny.
You know what?
He's not funny.
Yes.
Ben Higgins was at least funny-ish or funny adjacent. He's not like.
I wouldn't say he's funny. He was very charming. And I'd say Nick Viall was funny. Like. Yeah. He's funny. He's like, I don't know.
He would say funny things like bones on a lady in a church practically. Okay. What's funnier than that?
Okay. I believe to Cranberries, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, to the rest in peace.
Who couldn't though? I mean, yeah. Really. Anyway, dogs surf.
So he doesn't get the blessing from the dad,
yeah.
And this one I think is probably the most like the way that they cut the episode. You don't know which place he went to first.
Yeah, I'd love to know that. I always feel same
yeah.
with fantasy suites when they do that. I'd love to know the order. Like who's getting
because they're cutting this however they wish. I think with the fantasy suites, there's a little bit of like in the diary sessions they'll mention that the Bachelor might mention stuff. Don't you think? Like they mention something?
I don't think. I mean, maybe, but like generally they don't necessarily air them in the way that it was.
Yeah, I think they're cutting.
I mean, again, this is going to be different.
But this is the most
version,
awkward. The reason I bring that up is this is the most awkward conversation between a father.
Yeah,
and,
he was very much
him.
like, this is not.
The dad was
I'm
just like, it's a no from me, and it's a no because this is preposterous. But they're obviously not allowed to say like the ABC's The Bachelor is preposterous.
Well,
because none of them are just like you're on a fucking game show, buddy, and you're gonna come in here and take my daughter. Well, guess what? If you can ride a surfboard,
no, because
you can. Then you can have her. You know.
I mean, it's happened. Like on Ben's season, I believe that one woman's family she had like 5 brothers.
Cut that out though. Yeah, that was very strange. Though.
It was so fun though. They cut to the mom and she was just drinking straight from a wine bottle. It was so fun. But like, they were very much like, this is horrible. I don't want to. Was that Ben's season? Some season there was a woman who like. Her family was like fully not on board. Right. And then
there was a season of The Bachelorette where there was a male whose
he was like estranged from his dad.
Family was very bizarre.
Yeah, he was like estranged from his dad, and his dad was like some weird hippie guy or whatever. Yeah, that guy went on to like Bachelor in Paradise, though. He was fine.
But like, so this was an awkward moment between the father and Colton. Yeah. And he doesn't get the blessing. Mm-hmm. And he's in this like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do because I can't marry her without a blessing. Which, fine. We know that he's going to have to make a decision eventually. And then we get to the rose ceremony and he kicks Caitlin off, who he had the blessing for. So if the blessing was so like important to him, it feels like he should have been like, well, these dads say I can't marry their daughter, so see you later. You know?
Yeah, he kept Tayshia and Cassie. And by the way, Cassie said, I don't know if I can accept this engagement. I don't know where I'm landing. And like one of the things he said this entire season was like, I'm really afraid that I'm going to propose and that the person isn't going to be where I am, or they're not going to be ready. Like that's been his whole thing.
Can
this whole
you
time
get
is
there?
Like,
he says that a couple of times.
And she like straight told him like, I'm not ready for this. And he was like, cool, I'll keep you.
Yeah, I think there's some sort of understanding there. That might be adding some drama.
She's a
not
third.
Necessary.
Honestly, I thought Kaylin was going to get second place. Like, that was my guess was Hannah G wins and Kaylin gets second. But maybe Kaylin will be Bachelorette.
Maybe. I mean, she's very conventionally attractive. She was a little more interesting because she at least had opinions to give of why she wasn't ready. She couldn't explain it, or maybe
no.
didn't
She
give
said
enough
no.
time.
That was like there was a lot of drama.
Oh no,
about
Kaylin
people.
was the first one.
Yeah, Kaylin was the one with the soft serve.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say no. I don't think she can be the Bachelorette.
So what are you gonna say? Like,
if I was
so
going to
Tayshia?
choose of this group, I would say Tayshia.
Tayshia would be the right choice.
Yeah.
But this
she's
show
outgoing,
doesn't make the right choice.
Very attractive. She's got great bright white teeth. That seems important on The Bachelor.
Yeah.
Her family was good.
And also she like, so the contestants have to self dress and self makeup and all that, and she looks bonkers good. Like if she had like, I mean, she would be gorgeous every moment of every day.
Has there ever been a Bachelorette who was married previously?
I don't know.
A divorce.
I would assume not, but I don't know.
Bachelorette.
I'm relatively new to the franchise, but
that's interesting to think about. I mean, so yeah, so that's I would say my pick would be Tayshia. That would be
I mean, if I had the choice, Tayshia for sure. But like,
I would rather watch Tayshia as the Bachelorette than
agreed.
any of the other three. If I had to choose between the other three, I guess I'd say Hannah G, but that would just be rolling the dice on like,
boring.
Is there anything interesting about her? I just don't see it.
But outside of like, so you haven't watched a lot of the show, but you watched Caitlin's season, Caitlin Britt.
If you can put this like, into like an analogy to an NBA team.
No, I cannot.
That would help me.
I cannot.
Which one's Kyrie?
I don't know. But you watched a little bit of Caitlin's season, and like she was an outlier in that she was actually like an interesting. She's the one who slept with Nick Viall. And
okay, yeah, she was great.
The show.
That was really compelling.
But like she was so great and fun and like
impulsive.
I loved her, and I thought she was a great Bachelorette. But I think
beautiful.
I think that's not standard.
Not what the audience is looking for. The audience of this show.
Like I mean, who was the last one? She was like. Whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So yeah.
The one thing I want to.
Let's talk about the next time on.
Oh, wait! Before that, I just want to say one thing. There was a point where he gave a rose to Hannah G and to Tayshia, and Kaylin and Cassie looked at each other and said like, "Oh fuck," and that's because they're very, very close friends. Isn't that weird?
That they're close?
No, it's not weird that they're close because like. The vast majority of your time when you're on this show is spent with the other contestants because, like, you just spend more time with those
probably
people
building
than
a
with
stronger
him.
bond with the women
but
than
like,
the actual guy.
I get that they're friends, but like, do you really want to get to a point where just like both of us got to the fuck part together?
The fantasy suites?
Yeah,
I don't like to call it that, Nicole.
I mean, it's just like it's weird if you're like. I get that like the women form bonds and they become friends, and the same with the men because they spend more time with each other.
That's a very different question, I think, for like men and women too, right? Like, I think because culturally, right? If it was the men do bond on the show.
Yeah, for sure.
But when it gets down to the final like four, it would be very surprising.
No, they are
to
like
be,
if you generally if you follow them and stuff, like the people who get down to it are like besties.
They're tight.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I think I can disassociate from that type of thing because I would just be like, whatever. If I lose, whatever.
But I mean, like, you're still going to be friends whether one goes home. I don't know.
I wouldn't want to be on the show, period.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I mean,
anyway, so the next time on, he jumps over a fence.
They've been like
teasing
this all season. We have no idea. I mean, I will say Bachelor is like notorious for splicing together next time ons and making things look like more than they are. I don't know.
We'll just say this. What do you think? Because we got to wrap up.
Yeah.
What do you think? He jumped over the fence. Why does he jump the fence? I
think.
And how tall is that fence? Just give me a number.
Well, I think how tall is he?
This is a good question for you.
Because he seems short. No, don't do this to me. I'm not good at spatial reasoning. I just recently.
Give me a height and why did he jump over that fence?
How tall is he? What do you think he is? Like
6'2", maybe.
Okay, 6'2". Then the fence is 8 foot. No, it couldn't even
No,
be.
that looks
No.
like a 10-foot fence.
You think it's 10? If he's 6'2", he didn't have to jump that far.
Can he dunk? Do you think he can dunk?
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna say that the fence
6'2" and dunking?
that
I mean,
the fence is
maybe.
an 8-foot fence. Yep.
Yeah.
And then that the reason that he jumped over it is that like he got to the fantasy suite and then did the whole thing, and then maybe I'm guessing that he sleeps with one of the women and he doesn't sleep with another one.
No, here's what I would guess. I think it's going to be like a Rachel Peter situation where like one of the women is going to like self-evict
At the end?
at the very end, and that's going to like
That's gonna blow
destroy
up his world.
him. Yeah.
And the most likely one for that then would
Cassie.
be Cassie? Yeah,
She's not-
Cassie,
yeah.
the last one, yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be pretty tough.
But if someone like Tasha left, that would maybe blow his mind even more, right? Like
But why would that
someone
blow his mind?
because I don't think
She
he
would
really,
just be
I
like,
think
he's
he
not
knows,
choosing me, so I'm out.
and I think he knows Cassie's not going to be his thing. So why would that destroy him?
I don't know. I don't know why you're so sure of that.
That Cassie's not his thing?
Yeah.
You're right. I'm new to this, but like I think the editing of this is like they're not as like tricky
Not
as
much chemistry.
yeah, like
Yeah.
like Hannah G, excuse me, got like the first like impression rose, and then she like disappeared for a little while, and now she's back, and I think that's generally like what they do with the winner. But that's I don't know. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before.
She's so fucking boring.
Yeah, I've been wrong
Oh
before.
my god. Hannah G is just like, well, her date, she says nothing the whole time. And I guarantee in her mind she thinks
Yeah.
she's going to be the Bachelorette if she loses or whatever. I'm guessing that Hannah G thinks she's going to be the winner. 100%.
No, Hannah G thinks she's gonna be the winner.
And she thinks if she wasn't the winner, she could be the Bachelorette, which I don't think she could be because she's so
They
boring.
always put that in like such a negative light. Like someone who's like, well, maybe I'll be the Bachelorette. On the show, they're always like,
You're
well,
supposed to be surprised when they ask you, right?
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. In my dream world, I hope it's Khloe Kardashian.
She said put some respect on her name. Also, that was a burn. Whatever. She is too famous for the show. Anyway.
Yeah, she is.
So would you watch this again, or are you
Of
gonna
course.
watch the finale?
Yeah, I'm interested to know.
Okay.
I want to find out. I'm invested. I'm not invested in Colton though. I will say that.
Yeah, who
like I
cares?
don't care. Like if he's ready for true love. I want to know what happens on when he gets the old penis in the vagina.
I
want to know about that.
I will say as far as like being. They mentioned this in the show. It being.
Were you almost going to admit to not being a virgin? As someone who has
No big deal.
had sex before.
No, what I
together?
was gonna say is, this is one of the first seasons that I've watched, and I'm again new to this, where I'm just like, this kid is too young for me, and like
Yeah.
and like Ari's too boring for me.
Ugh,
Half these
yeah.
guys are too like annoying for me, but like.
Surprising, right?
Ben, I'm here for you. Nick Viall, I don't know. He seems horrible, but it's
You
fine.
get after
I'd get
Nick
it done.
Viall. Come on now.
But my point is, like, he just is like he has this like baby face. He's just too young. I don't like seeing young people.
Yeah, the women. Are you so you're saying from a standpoint of like, could you see yourself with these people?
No, I'm saying like watching like marriage on. Like watching
On
people
TV.
like want to get married when I'm watching like someone like his age, I'm just like, you're way too young. I mean, he's so young that like we're skewing like the bachelorette the women contestants are like 22 years old. It's like
yeah,
that's
that
too
is
young.
too young
It's
for
too young.
this show. I think that ideally you'd want like late 30s or late 20s because that's when
Yeah,
the most pressure
where
is,
every woman is
yeah.
lying that she's not 30
Yeah,
plus
that's the
years
best.
old.
That's
and,
like the sweet spot for the show.
Yeah.
And I also think like the actual Bachelor contestant could be in their 30s, in their early 30s. But ideally, you want the contestants, to be in their late 20s.
Well, generally in casting, and I'm not saying this is right or not right, but generally in casting, they cast the women to be quite a bit younger than the men. So when you have a 26-year-old, you're going to get 23-year-olds, and like I don't want that.
Yeah.
I want to see like 28-year-old women who are pretending that they're
25.
like old maids.
Oh yeah, that's the best. All right, well that's it for the show.
Do you have anything to plug?
I've got a bunch of stuff coming up. Most importantly, March 21st show, a new show I'm launching called Deep Space is going to be going off, and it is at Hawthorne Coffee. Go to MilwaukeeComedy.com for tickets, or go to my website RyanMasonComedy.net to find out more about me. I will be all over the Midwest in March and Cincinnati, Iowa City, Chicago. I'll be all over the place. So if you live somewhere, check me out on Twitter and follow us on Instagram.
If you live somewhere.
And come see a show because I'm funnier live. All right. See you later.